Today we have a 2011 Hyundai Sonata GLS with worn out wheel bearings, and I got a donor bearing from the salvage yard. So this is a hub and bearing component that bolts on to the knuckle of the rear suspension. When these bearings start to wear out, you'll hear a high-pitched whine that gets progressively louder the faster you drive the car. So when you're going like 65, 70 miles an hour on a highway, the noise becomes unbearable. So these two bolts are 14 millimeter. The bolt for this caliper is behind the knuckle right here. But you can't get to the bolt unless you detach this suspension control arm. So I'm going to remove this control arm bolt away from the knuckle. This is 21 millimeter. Take a hammer and some light taps. There. Alright, we're going to take the control arm, push it down, and get behind here. So I use this wobble socket to get this bolt out for the caliper. Now we can get the rotor off. So if you want easy access to the 4 mounting bolts for the hub, you may find it easier just simply to remove the shock absorber. So you're dealing with 2 bolts over here and 1 bolt on the bottom. Yeah, you could feel it. These bearings are definitely shot. You feel like the bearings grinding internally. Usually what causes premature bearing wear is if you have an unbalanced tire, and that continuous vibration will ruin the bearing. The bottom here is a little bit flatter while it's rounder on top. So that's the orientation of the bearing. Okay, I got the thread started there. This is a good time to replace the shock absorber if you want, because this one's shot. If you push down, a little bit of resistance and there's virtually no rebound. To replace the shock absorber, you take this nut off over here. If you move the entire suspension control arm, then attaching this part of the control arm to the knuckle is much easier. We'll put anti-seize on the hub so that the rotor won't get stuck in the future because of corrosion. Twist it a little bit. And we're done. Now there's nothing wrong with getting a used hub and bearing at a salvage yard, because the ones at the salvage yard are OEM and they may be in perfect condition. So why spend $100 plus for a new bearing where you could get one for like $10 at the salvage yard? And at the same time, when you're taking the bearing off, you'll be going through the learning curve on what's involved to take it off and then put it back on. But I could tell with this old one, you could feel the bearings in your hand while I turn the spindle here. So this is another one I got at the salvage yard. Although visually it looks like it's not in the same shape. Got some corrosion here. But when you turn it, it's really smooth. It's ultra smooth. So internally the bearing is fine. And getting this off at the salvage yard was only $10 a hub and bearing unit.